got the please stand by on screen.
Oh, well, it says we're live, and I guess the theme song just didn't play. So this is Geeks in Space 765, and I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda, experiencing some technical difficulties here with Chris DeBona,
Hi.
Rob Roseboom.
Hello.
How we doing, gents?
Yep, it's working. Doing fine. How are you?
You know,
Too loud?
I'm not sure why the sound didn't work, but you know, it's always something, right?
It's always some.
I had a dream last night. It's always something, and I dreamt that
Really? You had a dream?
I did.
On
I
Martin
dreamt
Luther
last
King
night
Jr.
that we were on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, good lord.
And like I guess we were all working there, and all the cast
At
was
the bar
there.
at Patty's?
Weirdly enough, it was in a park. But we were all there, and the cast was all there.
We were working on the show, or that world was real, and now we are part of it.
We were producing the show. I think.
Okay.
I think maybe we were writers or directors or producers or something.
Was there any respect for us? Because if so, we weren't writers.
Yeah, well, that could be too.
I'd love to write for Frank, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
God, I love that character.
Oh my God, he'd be the best.
Yeah.
But I've been watching the It's Always Sunny podcast, and like I really enjoy that show. But the podcast has been really entertaining, and I'm listening to it like constantly, and it's like really like I guess ingrained into my brain. I watched like 60 episodes of it in like 3 weeks.
So there was a list of shows that have been taking down their blackface episodes.
Oh yeah, they're one of them.
You know, no, and they basically, 30 Rock took down the following, and it said Always Sunny in Philadelphia to date has pulled down no episodes.
No, they're missing like 3 or 4 episodes on Hulu.
Oh, Hulu won't show them, but it's not the producers. Yeah, because they're like, have you seen this show?
Yeah. It's bad.
When we did blackface, it was a warning.
Yeah, it was a lot. Here, I'm gonna play a sound second. Tell me if you hear this. Did you hear the Chris sound?
I hear nothing.
Oh, weird. All right then. I guess I'm having real technical difficulties. The stream's getting you, so it doesn't matter. My sound effects aren't routing through.
Well, the volume is really low on the stream too. Like we're not using the dynamic range offered, so
weird. Oh well. Let's see what we got on
the... It did play over the live stream, it just didn't play to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Huh. All right then.
Mess with it later.
Yeah. Let's see.
You should have a second channel for Geeks in Space Debugging.
Right, where it's like 6 hours a day of me just fiddling with buttons. Does it work now?
Exactly.
How about now?
How about now?
You know, I updated to OBS 29, so now 17 different things just broke.
Do you run multiple copies of OBS feeding into each other at this point? Or?
Not right now, but I have.
Oh, good lord.
I thought about actually running OBS from my Mac and then streaming it with NDI over to my Windows PC, and then I could have a second machine. That would be cool.
I mean, you got machines for it.
I have so many machines in this house. It's stupid. Yeah. Well, all right. The first story on the list is the Dungeons and Dragons licensing story. Yes. Where, gosh, they took their open license that people have been developing games on for 20 years and then decided to tax it?
Allegedly.
They tried to be... So,
allegedly.
it's worth pointing out that this has both happened and they undid it, and a bunch of people were sort of showy protesting it. Even the legal channel that I follow on YouTube, they did a thing on it, and they actually dove into the idea that this stuff you never had to use the license before. It's not like you have to use it now, and it's not clear what they actually own. Like if you use strength, intelligence, charisma, and all that stuff, basically the GURPS model, you're fine. You don't have to ask their permission for jack, and it's weird when people opt in to oppressive copyright maximalist regimes, man.
That's true.
Like, what are you people doing?
Also, this isn't... I'm kind of on the fence about it because this hasn't actually happened yet. Yeah. This is all just something that was written in a proposal, from what I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I understand people who have used the core game rules to their benefit and get listed on D&D Beyond, use their marketplace to sell
Yep.
their stuff. I get where this sucks for all of them, and I think it's a shitty thing for them to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, uh, it you know, it is a business, right?
For sure.
And maybe it's just the cynic in me, but if you want a business to do something that is completely in your best interest and not in their own financial best interest,
Mhm.
you need to move to a different planet because that will never happen.
Right? You haven't been paying
Uh,
attention.
right. There is that line where bad PR will make them change their mind,
True.
or returns, will make them change their mind. And a very few decisions are made actually altruistically, but for the most part, it's a business and it's in business to make money. So of course this is going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if there's someone at Wizard of the Coast, they looked at the Apple App Store rev share and said,
Right.
"Man,
You
why
know,
aren't we doing that?"
30% sounds pretty sweet for the
Yeah.
mafia.
You know, how about this? We already collect 100% on our stuff. Let's collect 30% on their stuff too.
Totally.
Hmm.
That works with our stuff.
That's what I would do.
I was like, okay. And also, I hate to say it, if D&D Beyond is the app store for D&D stuff, they could say, "Hey, let's all make a little more money." It's like there's ways of doing this. But
Yes.
Yes.
this
This
is
is
just
just
sort of
a
ham-handled. What's funny is I think we know the person who wrote the OGL, the first one. I think that was Mark Stone when he was working for Wizards of the Coast. Do you remember Mark
Oh,
from
yeah.
VA Linux?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
mhm,
So I
yes.
think,
We remember Mark.
I really wanted to ping Mark and say, "Hey, did you do that? I think you did that." Well, yeah. So it's just interesting.
It is interesting, and hopefully nothing comes of it. But it sure did happen fast and loud.
Well,
This has
loud
been
in
going on
places where
for
we pay attention.
That's
You
this
fair.
has
know?
been going on for a while, to be honest. Um, it's
Yeah.
been a sort of a slow simmer for a couple weeks now, at
Hmm.
least.
Yeah, it's Hasbro who owns Wizards of the Coast.
Isn't that weird?
Yes, yes. Because I still get email from them occasionally about jobs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Because I'm scumbag D&D player.
yep.
Scumbag D&D
As
player.
the world
It's
famous
true. Yeah.
meme, Chris, let's pull up scumbag DM Dungeon Master. We haven't seen those in a while. My claim to
They
internet.
took them all off. They took them all off Imager.
Really?
So yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
think
no
they're
good.
only on
Hi.
Pinterest and some various places now.
Rob, I
Were
think
you
that
making
this
too much money from it?
Yeah.
Imgur wanted 30%. I think that the scumbag DM might be Rob and I's greatest collaboration.
Sure.
Since I took the photo and you were the model, and then the internet made it funny because that's what they do. I can't believe that they took
It's
it.
the one where you're doing this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
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 It's
is
not
hard
out
to
there?
find. That's weird.
No, don't do DM. Type in D&D player.
Yeah, there you are. A lot of people have added things to it, like hats.
They have.
Yeah.
I think you can find a pure one yet on Pinterest, but that probably isn't, enthralling for our listeners.
I have the original photo though, so
Right.
Yeah.
So I can claim the NFT of it.
Yeah.
Why did they take it
Yeah.
off of Imager?
I don't know.
That's weird. Isn't that weird?
That is
seems
weird.
weird.
It is.
I'll put it
like,
into
It was
general.
over 1 million views on Imager.
1.5.
I threw it into general for chat to look at. There, here's just a random one with a hat added. You got the
Yeah, I saw that
scumbag
one.
Steve hat or whoever that meme
Yeah,
was.
Scumbag Steve.
Yeah.
But no, that's whenever every now and then that shows up, and that pleases me.
Yeah.
Your claim
Are
to
those
fame.
your figures in the picture?
Yeah, those aren't even well. Some of them are D&D figures. The other ones are from the. You ever play that old game called Shogun? It was basically like
It's not
Risk,
Traveler,
but in
but
Japan.
yeah. Gosh, little fighty guys.
So we haven't been talking a lot about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, but the Ukrainians have found a new ally in the form of their local beaver population.
All
Apparently,
right.
normally, they destroy the beaver dams because
Yeah.
they're kind of a pain in the butt when you're trying to use your land for human purposes. But because there's this war happening, they have not been taking care of the beaver dams, and so all of the land
Yeah.
has turned very marshy. Which
Yep.
has made it even more difficult for Russian invaders to get through the land.
Yeah,
So,
what you can't
And
see is he's got a little tattoo that says Slava Ukraine, so, and if he sees someone wearing that Z shit, he goes right for their ankles.
mhm.
they're
They're
out
vicious
planting
animals.
they're out planting sunflower seeds.
Right? Yeah.
Remember that lady? Good times.
Oof.
That
I don't think people really appreciate just how sturdy those beaver dams are. Boy,
yeah.
living in the UP, you have to blast them out with dynamite and then use a backhoe to dig them
Well,
apart and haul them away. I mean,
yeah, I
it's
mean,
serious.
it's like a natural cement practically because it's a ton of the silt and all the fiber and wood. It's like
Yeah,
they're
they're si-
industrious creatures, them beavers.
Wow,
I'm glad they're on the Ukraine side.
that's right.
I'm sure that's how they see it, right?
Right. They're pretty focused on the politics. The Beavers are
right.
surprisingly aware of the geopolitical situation of Eastern
Oh,
Europe.
don't cross a beaver, man.
What's the name of the beaver in Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe? Is that Mr. Tumnus?
Mr.
No.
Tumnus.
Or is that he was the fawn?
He was a
Yes.
satyr, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What was
Yep.
what was the beaver's name? Was it just Mr. Beaver?
Yeah, he was a
Miss-
satyr. A fawn. Sorry. It's just a satyr, right?
Are they?
I think their names were literally Mr. and Mrs. Beaver.
Yeah.
Beaver character Narnia. Mr. Beaver.
There you go. So we got a bit
played by Ray Winstone. Huh, go figure.
We got a story about a bionic third thumb.
Yes.
Did
We
you
actually have talked about this before.
Did you see how that he's controlling it?
Yeah, it's cool.
With a toe.
Yeah. Well, so there's a version where you control with a toe and another one where it's like actuated with your bicep, I think. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've used the toe one. I wore socks. Don't worry. But yeah, they're pretty neat. So
gross. Well, the video is really neat.
Yeah.
Man, he looks familiar too.
He looks like Cliff, but he's not Cliff.
I was thinking he looked like I can't remember his name. Somebody that we know. I won't try to guess his name. That's rude, but he looks exactly like somebody we know.
This is a really neat place that they're about to show my pal Tamar. She introduced me to the lab, and Tamar. Anyway, so yeah, Hand and Brain Lab.
Yeah, that's neat stuff. I love the idea that this could actually be like useful.
Well, I mean, especially for folks that don't have a fifth finger.
True.
Proper thumb, So yeah.
True.
Oh yeah, I guess you could use it for that. I was just like, yeah, there are a lot of people who don't have 6 fingers, right? There's probably a lot of us.
Really, we could all use 7 fingers,
Why not 8?
2 thumbs.
I have 10.
Just have a
I have
10 per hand.
Why not have a hand like a sea anemone?
Well, I mean, so the question is,
fingers all around.
Of your fingers, which are the most useful in day-to-day tasks? Like if you had like 3 more in here, would they just get in the way? Would they give you anything extra?
If you live in Michigan, it's the middle one.
Yeah, I was gonna say middle finger for sure.
That's very handy. You got 4 middle fingers, and people are like, "Why is he going 3 at me?" I don't know.
Yeah, if you have an even number of fingers, can you even flip anyone off anymore?
Oh, that's true.
I mean, that's half of my communication.
Oh,
right?
I'm gonna bring this up with tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's twice as powerful because like it's still like 2 fingers in the center. Like
I mean,
it's,
if she wants
it's twice
that
as offensive.
Upper Peninsula research money, she's
Right.
gonna need an extra finger on either side, so
Yeah.
along with the thumb. Well, so here's the thing. Are we counting because you have an even number here. It's called the middle finger, but it's really the
Well,
the
I,
the
I
second
know we've
finger of
we've
4,
arbitrarily
right?
decided to say that the thumb isn't a finger, right? But
Except for in
for
the context of a middle finger.
right, for all intents and purposes, it's just a short finger, gentlemen. Put on the side, right?
Whoa,
But
you're blowing
it
my
also
mind.
has a different root, and a different, angle of motion, right? That's what makes it special, you
Sure,
know.
sure, I get it, but it's still.
You
I
know.
mean, if my foot was
It,
sideways, it would still be a foot.
well, I mean, so
That's
the
what I'm
question
saying.
is, if the web of your hand was lower, would it just be as long as your other fingers? And we think it's wider, but is it actually? Yeah, it's a little wider. Yeah,
Yeah, that's why.
but yeah. I'm sure there are people who have very dainty thumbs, though.
They're the people who argue about if Pluto is a
More
planet or not.
evolved. They're more evolved than we are. Us wide
Yeah.
thumb people.
Thumb fatty.
I'm just hanging back here with 3% Neanderthal DNA in me. What am I
Right?
supposed to do? My big wide thumb.
Right?
Yeah.
I share a
Perfect for
shocking.
That's the new Mensa test. The IQ
yeah,
tests weren't really all
just
that useful. They're just like, show us your thumb, kid.
show
Oh,
us your thumb. Or
they,
they put you in a room with flint and see how long it takes you to make an arrowhead. It's the
Yeah.
only test you want to fail.
they
Yeah.
get out one of those drill gauge bit measures. And you just stick your thumb in the hole. Oh, he's a smart one. He's
That
evolved.
sounds very Nazi the way they used to,
Yeah, it kind of does.
check
Yeah,
Jews.
it's phrenology.
Right?
Just move
Phrenology.
it to
It's
the.
literally
Just move it.
phrenology, except for
Just for
thumbology.
thumbs.
Thumbology.
Thumology.
Thumology. There we go.
There we
Is
go.
We
is
created.
there a Latin sciencey sounding word for thumb? Thumb
Well,
in Latin.
We got to be careful because people make parody things like that, and then 10
Ooh.
years later, you discover it turns into something real.
Polexology might work. Or because it's polus, so is Latin for thumb. So uh polisology,
yeah, and we don't want to be
phrenology.
polology because that's something completely different.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
we
think I
don't
know
want
what you're talking about.
polology.
Something we've definitely all studied.
Well, maybe it's French, because it's pouse is thumb
Mm.
in French, because you want to be Linnaean, Um, Persian. No, I can't read that. It's in Persian.
Weird.
Do you guys
Okay.
read Pashto? Hawaiian. Here we
Oh,
go.
there it is.
It's Mana Mana Lima.
Ooh.
Mana Mana Lima Enology.
Ology.
Yeah.
No. Wouldn't fit on the t-shirts.
You don't need to spell it out though. You just need to come up with a very simple drawing that people can racistly rally around.
I'm
Just
sure
a
there's
an
like
icon.
a casual, like Lima is probably casually thumb in Hawaiian, right? Sure. Let's go with that. What's next? Okay.
There's the Gen V trailer.
Yeah, so there's a spin-off of The Boys.
Not a lot to go on here, but Starfire is in it for a shot, and they have like a couple of cool powers shown.
Yeah, it's
Not Starfire. What's her name?
Starfire.
The blonde girl. I was watching Titans recently.
Starlight.
Starlight, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks very enjoyable.
So this is I couldn't quite tell if it was just all superheroes in this high school or if it was like an integrated situation and that's what the story's going to be.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's everyone in the high school
I think that's what
has
it is.
been given compound V as children or whatever.
But you have to assume that some of the kids have really stupid powers.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And so that's going to be like
boys.
That's going to be awesome. Like they're going to just have dumb powers. Like what
all
was
that
it?
blood is guy who can give you lots of blood, man. It's just whenever he sneezes, a gallon of blood drops on the floor.
The episode of the Family Guy where Meg grows her fingernails a little tiny bit, and that's her superpower. Shut up, Meg. Anyway, it's a completely acceptable trailer. I can't wait to see the show. I think it'll be super fun. I hope that it's the same writing staff.
Yeah, it would be great if it was.
And I do think that this is the way to make a show like this kind of last a long time. Like you don't have to do 7 seasons of The Boys. you can give us a spin off. It's what they're trying to do with Star Wars, but failing pretty miserably most of the time. You know, like give us a season of Mando, but then go somewhere
The,
else for a season.
Yeah.
That's
the other thing that I think they do exceptionally well is they tease out little teeny trailers from the universe of various
Yeah.
things like commercials and stuff like that. I think it's really smart to keep the hype going, and it's got to be like refreshing. If you're working on a show as a creative and writing, I imagine there's blocks in it at some point where you're just like, you know, I love doing this, but I need something else to do. And putting together those little fake marketing promos has got to be refreshing and great for those guys.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we've talked about we linked to all of them. I mean, we love those things.
yeah.
You know.
They know what they're doing with that show for dang sure. So we've got I didn't read this one or watch this one. The Man Who Tried to Fake an Element. Whose is
So
this?
it's an hour and 19 minutes long,
Oh, that's a
and
doozy.
it's worth every second.
All right.
It's a wonderful introduction to literally uh, elemental chemistry, the periodic table, and it comes to a sort of this wonderful crescendo about this guy, uh, uh, Victor Nivor or Niven. Anyway, who was working in one of the big labs, and he went to Berkeley, and it turns out there was some shadiness around higher transuranics and the detection software that he was an expert in, and around the quality of the data therein. Just
Okay.
it's so good. It's such a wonderful introduction to you know high energy physics that I just can't endorse this enough.
All
It's
right. Well,
really
I'm
good.
excited now
You know?
because there's not a lot of.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to it in a minute. There's not a lot of stuff right now that I'm super excited to watch on the tube. So
Yeah.
I can go
And
for
you can
something like
listen to
this.
it more than watch it. I mean,
All
if
right.
you watch it, you'll get like all the pictures and all the people and all the cool stuff. But like, it's just remarkably presented, you
Hmm.
know, and it just grabs you, and you're like, "Whoa, dude," you know, and yeah,
So, Rob,
yeah,
you shared the trailer
really
for
something.
Carnival Row 2. I think you're the only
You
one of us that
watch.
watched this.
I think you're the one who watched Carnival Row at all, right?
I did.
You
On
spoke
the
I
highly
whole
of
don't
it
know
too.
internet.
about I don't know about the whole world, but
Yeah.
of us three, I think I'm the only one who watched all of Carnival Row. You two would know for sure.
Yeah, I've had it on my in my queue forever, but it's one of the.
Uh,
It's hard to justify. You know, it's like a 10 episode show. It's hard to tackle that.
I mean, I think it's worth watching if you like that subject matter. It's not perfect by any means, but there's some interesting bits in it. Um, the main creature is pretty cool in the first season.
Uh,
Uh,
all right, I'm all in.
And Cara Delevingne is
Cara
a fairy.
Delevingne.
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the premise is, you know, all the Fey folk are real, and human beings almost wipe them out with years and years of war. There's a peace, and now there's a section of London, and well, a section of the city where all the Fey folk live, and they're kind of like immigrants. They're treated badly. Some of them are enslaved. It's just the problem comes in the where that what they're shooting for. They don't have the engine to do. Uh,
Budgetarily.
more like story wise
Hmm.
and acting wise. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not completely unbelievable, but it doesn't really, at least for me, I never felt hugely sympathetic to any of these characters, even when they're being treated badly, because, you know, it's hard to feel bad about someone who's, you know, they've introduced 5 seconds ago and horns look so terrible that you think they
Mm.
bought them at the dollar store. But yeah, so that's where the downfall is for this. But if you like fantasy, it's perfectly reasonable. It's entertaining enough.
Fair enough. Chris, were you the Doctor Z story?
Well,
NASA.
the thing
Oh.
I pasted something into the general channel. I was going to jokingly show this as the Carnival Row trailer. It's a tour of Kara's house in Los Angeles, and she has a vagina room, and she
Oh,
has like, you know, it's honestly the funniest thing you will watch from Architectural Digest.
All
So
right.
there you go. But I couldn't scrub to the right place in time.
All right. Well,
So
I'm
we should
putting
move
it
on.
into the zone, and I will watch that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm putting it up
So
with the title, not the Carnival Row trailer.
not the Carnival Road trailer.
All right. We've got the NASA
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, and then NASA. Yeah, so this is I stan Dr. Zurbuchen, formerly of the University of Michigan. He ran the science directorate for 6 years, and he's just remarkable. That's all. This is a great swan song for his career at NASA, and it gives him all the right credit. And he's a remarkable administrator. And it's rare. It's rare to say, wow, this guy really he put his mark on the agency, on space, uh, in ways that
When did he
affects a
start and stop?
generation. 6 years ago.
When did he start?
No, that's when he started
Oh,
at
so
NASA.
he's still there.
No, he's done.
Oh, he 6-year
He
term.
retired at the end of last year.
Gotcha.
He left at the end. He didn't retire. So.
He's going to go into private industry and make mad bank, but
or he'll come back to the Aero Astro School at University of Michigan. I don't, maybe it's in the article.
Fair enough. I'm guessing that Rob is the one that shared the "your husband is a polar bear" story.
Yes.
I think that's extremely likely.
Yeah.
Walk us through it, good sir.
Basically, it's a story about translators hired by the government and FEMA in particular, who were putting gale warnings and stuff for the indigenous people of Alaska. But the person that they hired, just I don't know if they didn't know how to do their job or they didn't know the language. So they start tweeting all these things out to these people, and they're like, there's stuff about how your husband looks like a polar bear and he's skinny, and just complete nonsense stuff instead of warning. So they're doing a deep dive now to figure out where the breakdown was and to make sure that the translations that they send out are actually useful, and yada yada yada. It just reminds me of, do you remember, this has happened numerous times now, but
Oh yeah.
the last one, what that I can remember, I can't remember what speech it was, but the sign language translator that they had there it was absolute nonsense. What they were
That
signing
was a
was absolute
wonderful
nonsense,
story.
right? Right.
That was
And that has
fantastic.
happened tons of times. And it's just hard because, who are you going to have check that? They have the budget for one sign language person, right? And hardly anyone else there is likely to know American Sign Language well enough to know if what they're signing is correct. And this is the same way that, you know, uh, the Alaskan Native languages. I don't know how many experts there are in that, but there can't be many, right? Uh, so
Just Gary.
yeah, just old Gary,
Yeah, and who knows if he's telling the truth?
right?
I'm trying to find the sign language. We should probably just search inside Geeks in Taco Zone, and we'll probably find it.
Ambalu
was
just
it
shared a
today?
story about a family who has 6 fingers as
Per hand.
For hand, yeah.
Family of 14 who all have 6 fingers and toes.
There you go. If they rise up and like take over the planet, then generations from now, we could all be rocking 6 fingers, flicking people off with the double middles.
Are they brother and sister as well? The parents.
Oh no.
Are they trying to keep it in the family?
Mm-hmm.
We're the 14 finger family. We must keep it in the family. The 12 finger family.
That's a that I don't want to answer that question. I don't think that it is going to have a good ending for anybody involved.
Wow.
So
it's funny because the spacing between, it's almost like they have second thumbs.
It's a little weird.
I think it's more second thumb than fourth finger.
Yes, it's completely different from the person I know who had 2 thumbs.
Well,
a little something extra.
Wait, yeah. If you propose to a woman with 6 fingers, do you have to buy 2 wedding rings? Is this the implication of this photo?
Like you have to flank the center?
I mean, I didn't. But...
Wait, you're
So the next story on the list
Okay, we'll get to that after the broadcast.
is oh crap! I just clicked off the zone.
Last of Us?
Yeah, well, Last of Us. Did either of you guys watch Last of Us?
Yep.
I did.
And what'd you guys think?
I did not play the game,
I only played half
but
of the game.
I liked the show.
So
I thought the show was fine.
I started to play the game, and it was almost exclusively cutscenes
So many
for
cutscenes.
like an hour.
Yep.
And
Oh,
I was
really?
like, you know what? I'll wait for this to be a TV show.
Well, you chose wisely.
Look, it's a TV show. And so far it's fine. You know, I'm wondering how they'll take it. I Unfortunately, I think it feels a lot like Why the Last Man's adaptation,
Mm.
where it's like they're hitting certain beats, and they you could tell they put a lot into the sets and the dressing up Toronto or whatever. But I don't think it's gonna last. I mean, unless they really, it feels really flat to
Well,
me.
the
It feels
story
really
that I linked,
unenergetic.
said that it's the second highest viewed show premiere on HBO after the Game of Thrones sequel
Okay.
show. So a lot of people watched it, and it seems to be getting good reviews. The review that I read that I thought was the most funny was just all the Halo fans. It was just like they were like, "Fuck you, Last of Us. Why wasn't the Halo show good?"
Well, that was on Apple Plus, right?
I don't know where it was, but I only watched the first episode, and it was unwatchable bad.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed it a
Yeah.
lot. The funny thing to me is I was watching it with Kathleen, and I've played half the game, so I knew I knew immediately several characters who were going to die,
Yeah.
and so she's like, well, I know that it's about the two characters who live, so she's like, I'm trying not to get invested in any of these characters who I like because I know they're going to die.
Yeah, it definitely seems like to me the that they're shooting for sort of a the road vibe.
Mhm.
Uh,
It's got a very roady vibe.
but I'm not sure that they'll tug at the heartstrings like that one does.
Hmm.
I don't know. That one, by the end of that movie, you're just like almost hoping for that guy and his son to die.
Yeah,
Right?
right?
You're like,
Yeah.
will you please just kill yourself?
Just die.
Give up.
Just end.
You're right. This is awful.
Yeah. The road was a grind, man. I didn't even watch the movie. I was like, I don't need that.
There's enough sadness in this world.
Yeah. But it looks like that's what they're going for more so than action. They're trying to make a one that makes you feel devastated, as one would at the end of the world, I would imagine, and not running around shooting things in glee.
Right.
That's not what they're going. But they're not going for Mad Max in this one, guys. They're they're going
weird.
for something a little more somber.
Weird. Well, Chris, you also shared some Twitter auctions.
Oh yeah. Tomorrow is the last day to bid
on all the
corpse
kitchen
reporter.
appliances.
Yeah, and and the many desks.
If you sort by new, I think
me,
I put like 3 up while we were talking. The lawful evil 6 fingers. So many stories. I've been busy, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're working hard.
Oh yeah, it's so hard.
That's what they always say about you.
That's right.
Yeah. So I've been to these auctions before. They're always they're interesting, because like the restaurateurs show up, and Oakland Restaurant Supply shows up and picks up, and puts in like a flat bid on all the kitchen equipment just to see what they get, and
Yep.
but yeah, it's one thing I noticed they have a lot of is they have a ton. I mean, a literal ton of projectors, so if you want a high-end laser projector, that's one direction to go.
That's kind of weird that that's still a thing. That's got to be old, right? Because like,
Well,
who's buying a projector now like that?
No. You have to realize inside Google, inside all the big tech companies, every conference room has a projector.
But why wouldn't you just have like a 55-inch LCD OLED now?
Sometimes we do, and there's tons of them on here. But like we use so many projectors. It's kind of stupid. And like yeah. So, yeah. Well, at least we did. And obviously they did because they have just a ton of them. And then they have like these cabinets. It's really funny. These cabinets just full of like HDMI routing equipment and all the rest and HDNet stuff. And I'm like, okay, sure. And then they have tons of these things, you know. So,
Yeah, the weird thing is like prices on at least on some of these things isn't much cheaper than it would be if you just bought it new.
well, yeah. You know, there's a lot of like so the way I put it to my wife is anything you can fit in an SUV has an overheated price.
Yeah.
You know, is
Yeah.
sort of the long and short of it, right? Obviously not like these, you know, monitors on wheels, you know, but
Hmm.
like, you know, by the time that things go to sale, like this will probably be closer to $1,000, which is still a good deal. The problem is you don't know which ones have long throw or short throw lenses fitted to them. You don't know how many hours they have on them. Now it's a laser
Right.
projector, so it's not a big deal, but you know, you're taking a flyer, right? And people like $1,000 for this. I'm like,
That's a big dice roll.
that is a good deal if it's in great shape, and probably a bunch of them are in really great shape, so it's a gamble, you know?
Hmm.
But yeah, no, it's like they have all kinds of like, the restaurant equipment's just very enjoyable for me, you know?
Plus, you know, you get to watch the collapsing carcass of Twitter right in front of you. They broke over the weekend or like last week. They broke
No, they took down
Tweetbot.
their API.
Yeah, but they so Tweetbot is how I've been using Twitter for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
It is dramatically better than the default client,
Sure.
and I like it. Literally, I keep tapping the button and then getting the error, and then I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go to the other app. I don't want to deal with that. So like I've barely been on Twitter since they broke that app. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm sure that it's because it doesn't give the advertising the same level of placement. I'm not even sure if it gives any placement. I might not have been seeing ads for the last 10 years on Twitter, which would probably explain why they're banning it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, so but I mean, good example. Uh, you know this chair is as likely as not to have cracks and scratches and the rest. And it's like, why would you spend $1,000 for that chair? I mean,
Well, those are
in the
aims.
real world, they're great, but after what 4 years of hard use at the Twitter HQ, do you really want to mess with this chair? It's like now maybe they went in person, they checked it out,
I would love to get a few of those Ames wood chairs. Those are things are awesome, but
well, you could buy one
I could, but I'm not going to. I have too many chairs
from
already.
Herman
But
Miller, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Here, let me see what they charge for this.
for a brand new one, those are expensive chairs.
They're $2,000.
Yeah,
So
half off.
yeah, but what
I bet.
level of wear? I
I bet
mean,
those chairs are totally fine for my butt. My butt is not
Well,
so pristine that it can't sit in a one thousand
yeah,
dollar chair.
uh,
this is a
also
seven-year-old
let me just
chair.
say if you are going to spend $1,000 for that chair,
Yeah,
you are just as likely to spend $2,000 for a new one, I think.
right.
Right?
Yeah, because it's not
This
like
is
it's got like a special Twitter
Yeah,
smell
and
to it. You
this
know?
is not for your conference room, right? You're not buying a room full of these chairs,
Yeah,
But
it's
the fact that they were buying $2,000 chairs like says something about how the company was run for sure.
for
well, I
sure.
mean, things get used pretty hard in a commercial environment, so
For
you
sure.
want to buy something that can be replaced, be fixed.
Or you buy the $20 folding chair and then when it breaks, you buy 50 more because a
Well,
$2,000 chair
yeah.
is very expensive chair.
Well, so from their micro kitchens, we have all their espresso machines. But honestly, at this point, you're just go buy a damn espresso machine.
Yeah,
It's like
for
Yeah.
sure.
this is
And
not that much less than. And remember, again, 7 years of use
right.
Right.
by all those
And not just
nerds
regular use,
and
probably used by the employees
used
directly.
hard.
And
So
Yeah.
those are not taken care
do you
of.
know how many fittings and gaskets that have wear
Oh,
on them? How
yeah.
many O-rings are about to go? I mean, there's just so
Look at
many
this.
working
I
little
do
parts in
know.
those things.
I have an espresso machine and
I
there's a
mean,
lot of
Yeah.
parts.
these are lovely machines, but this is also 2014 in hard use
Yep.
at a startup for what 8 years now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, come on, you know. And brand new, that machine is, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. It's as much as $9,600.
Now that said,
Okay, so this is about half off, and I'm like,
if Jack or Ev or anybody is listening, feel free to mail me one. I mean, I'll take it, but
yeah, because you want to install the boiler and the high pressure water system that goes along with it. That's your idea of a good time, right? And look
well,
at this thing; it's basically busted. Like, where's the
right.
top, scrim cover for it?
My espresso machine is
Dude,
plumbed in, but I'm I'm like that,
yeah.
and I have a handy wife.
Yeah, but I mean, you're gonna have to order the part. It's probably $1,000 from Italy,
Yeah, probably.
to cover this stuff up, and installing it's not that hard, if you're handy. But
All right,
people are
gentlemen.
baffling. People are weird. That's all.
Well,
I'm saying,
that goes without saying.
Yeah, the Burkle is the one that we've all been watching because this is $13,000 new.
The
I was
sausage
going to
grinder.
say, now say what you will, but that meat slicer,
Yeah,
that's a gorgeous
legit.
meat slicer.
That's legit.
Like,
oh yeah,
my mom we had the tabletop version of that as a kid. I loved playing with it and cutting stuff with it. Absolutely
Wood
ruined it.
Your brother.
No, neither of those things, but just about everything else in the house. But at some point they got rid of it. So I think they sold it at a garage sale for like $1 or something.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what they had.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what kills me
way.
about this is, correct me if I'm wrong, when they say manual, they mean manual. When you turn that wheel,
cranking.
it turns that wheel, right?
Yep.
So
that's legit.
They paid a guy, okay?
Crank a wheel.
A guy good money to stand there and slice meat all day with this thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Come on. That's said in Jack's office. He cranked it himself.
Yeah, I'm figuring at some point they're like, it's beautiful, but we use the one with the motor on it.
Right.
Like,
the motor
probably hasn't been used that much.
We don't have to pay health insurance to the motor.
Yeah, right.
All right, gentlemen.
They're lovely.
Let's say goodbye. I don't think the theme song is going to work, but we can say goodbye anyway.
Well, and it'll work not for us, but it'll work for the rest of the...
Probably. Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Chris DeBona.
Yeah.
That was episode 766 of Geeks in Space. I was Rob Commander Taco Malda, and we will join you next time. Bye-bye.